instances of paranormal phenomena have been reported in this desolate place. Events that may reflect the area's tragic past. Whatever they are, whatever you call them, ghosts, spirits, shades, specters, apparitions, there is not a corner of the world they do not inhabit.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Other Dangerous Podcasts, where we talk all things paranormal. I'm Ken James, and this is Jason McKittrick.
Hey, folks.
And if it can haunt, howl, or dwell in the dark, we want to talk about it. Now, we're still in the midst of Mothman Month, and this week we're continuing our deep dive with the monster and the sightings. So I'm going to send it over to Jay to give us a little look into the Mothman Monster.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Encountered by numerous individuals and described as a large black-winged creature with radiant red eyes, the Mothman has truly become an American legend. Tonight, we dive into the sightings of the creature and the disaster of the Silver Bridge collapse of 1967.
Oh, all right, guys, before we go all the way in, we're going to continue our new little segment, the jump scare, just to get your blood pumping, folks. So I'm going to take another one this week, and I will read it to you now. So this is another first responders ghost story. I remember my father telling me a story of when he was a police officer in New Hampshire. One night, dispatch gets a call from someone reporting they've seen a little girl wandering around the lake by herself. That night, my father was on duty, and every available police officer responded to try and find this little girl. My father was the first to arrive with his partner. As they exit the car, they slowly start to walk toward the lake. As they near the water, my father's partner hits him on the shoulder and points towards the lake, and there stands this little girl. My father said when he turned to see her standing on the water, and every hair on the back of his neck stood up once he saw her. It was 2 a.m. and it was November, so it was very cold outside. He said he said she was in a white nightgown with no shoes on, standing in the water. They both look at each other, knowing that something wasn't right about the situation. They reported to dispatch that they found the girl. They walk a little closer, and my father kneels down, holds his arms out, and calls to the girl to come to him. The little girl turns her attention to my father and slowly starts to walk towards him from out of the water. As this is happening, another unit pulls up and witnesses the girl walking up to my father. Just as the little girl within 8 feet of my father, she disappears, and there was nothing left but tiny little footprints in the dirt. They all stand there in disbelief trying to figure out what just happened, and one of the police officers turns and says, "How the fuck are we going to explain this?"
Just a shout out to little girl ghosts. Could you stop? Could you stop scaring the shit out of grown men? I mean, it's fun for you, but for
the grown men don't like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, because it just fucks everything up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all right, let's get back into our dive here. Jay, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I do. But question for you, Ken.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Mothman statue?
I have seen the Mothman statue. I definitely have, with his rock hard abs.
What the fuck were they thinking?
I don't know. And he's even got like his ass is like.
Dude, my notes, fantastic ass. That's what I read.
It is a good ass, man. That guy squats. Definitely.
He definitely squats, but when the guy was sculpting it, and whoever sculpted it, good job, buddy. When he got to the ass, he was like, animal furry ass or gleaming glutes? And that.
He like modeled it. I don't even know whose male ass that is. I don't.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, but, I liked in BuzzFeed Unsolved when I think it was Shane was like, "Hey, whoever built this? I don't know why he decided to put him in GI Joe armor because like the legs down." Yeah, man, it's a lunatic statue, man.
It is a lunatic statue, and if folks you don't know what we're talking about, take a look. The Mothman statue that is placed in Point Pleasant. If I was to say, "Hey, sculpt me a Mothman statue," and they delivered that, I'd be like, "Try again."
Yeah. Hey, how about one more go?
Yeah, try again. This is the warm up.
Yeah, maybe not make it completely silver, like.
Well, they have
like,
a whole collection of silver statues all over the town. Like they even have one of Cornstalk. Shout out to Chief Cornstalk. They have like all the like historical figures from the town all done in that silver. So I don't know if it's like a material that they're like, oh, it'll last long or whatever. But
or there was an abundance of it or something.
yeah, but Point Pleasant, come on, do something with those. Awful.
At least fucking paint it,
Something, I don't know. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the sightings of this Mothman creature. Now, like I said in the beginning, most described it as this black, almost large bird or winged humanoid with these, but everyone always says giant red eyes, right? Right. Mm-hmm. So, interestingly, the first sighting was not in Point Pleasant. On November 12th, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, which is just outside of it, a group of grave diggers were working in a cemetery, and they spotted something strange. They look up from their work, and something huge soared over their heads. It was this massive figure that was moving rapidly from tree to tree, and the grave diggers would later describe this figure as a brown human being. Strange. So this is the first reported sighting of what would become to be known as the Mothman, an elusive creature that remains as mysterious as it was on the night that a few frightened witnesses first laid eyes on it. So just 3 days after the gravediggers' initial report in nearby Point Pleasant, West Virginia, two couples noticed a white-winged creature about 6 or 7 feet tall standing in front of the car that they were all sitting in. Eyewitnesses Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallett told the local paper, the Point Pleasant Register, that the beast had bright red eyes about 6 inches apart, a wingspan of 10 feet, and the apparent urge to avoid the bright headlights of the car. So already acting like Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's sus. This motherfucker's up to no good,
Right, and my kids who play Among Us nonstop, everything's sus. This is sus.
Sus, yeah.
So, according to these witnesses, this creature was able to fly at incredible speeds, like almost maybe 100 miles an hour. It was keeping up with the car when they were trying to escape it, because this thing was like flying with the car.
Yeah. Now, when they saw this too, weren't they driving by like a factory that was apparently haunted?
Well, there's this old area that almost turned into like a lover's lane that everyone would go out to. So, okay. It's a town in the middle of nowhere, essentially. There's nothing to do. So cruising was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
And, they went out there and this is where they saw this thing. So, according to these witnesses, they all agreed that, after they saw it fly, but then they also saw it on the ground. It had like this very clumsy kind of like walk to it. Like, it belonged flying, not walking kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's because the creature chased the car on foot too, which is, and then like disappeared into a field. They knew this was a strange story. So, they, and were very alarmed. So they went right to the local, courthouse and tried to report the sighting almost immediately. And there were 4 of them and they were like, well, this is what we saw. And they even gave a statement to the local newspaper saying that the one guy, Steve Scarberry, said, if I had seen it while I was by myself, I wouldn't have said anything, but there were 4 of us who saw it. So I then felt okay.
Yeah.
So at first, of course, reporters were skeptical in the papers, and they called this Mothman, this a bird or a mysterious creature. But they originally did describe it as a man with wings. So already in these first couple descriptions, you have eyewitness statements that just don't line up. So we're already in that territory of hey, I saw this. Hey, I saw this. And it didn't really codify into this,
Yeah. Cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more and more sightings were reported in Point Pleasant over the next year. And the legend of the Mothman took shape. The local Gettysburg Times reported 8 additional sightings in the short span of 3 days after the first claims. This included 2 volunteer firefighters who they saw a very large bird with large red eyes. Another encounter, which I really like, this is by Newell Partridge. He was a resident of Salem, West Virginia, which is also close. Claimed that he saw strange patterns appearing on his television screen one night, followed by a mysterious sound just outside of his house. Now, if you've seen the Mothman of Point Pleasant by Small Town Monsters, they do a little animation of this. He's the farmer where the dogs run outside and they see this awesome recreation. Yeah. He shines a flashlight outside toward the direction of the noise, and supposedly Partridge witnessed two red eyes resembling like bicycle reflectors looking right back at him. And this anecdote remains a popular one in the Mothman mythos, especially since it's already led to the disappearance of his dog, which disappeared. And then, but he said, no, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't, an animal that he knew. He even said that it wasn't eye shine from an owl, which is something.
And he was a farmer. He was a farmer.
Yeah.
And these people,
yeah,
they tend to know what they're looking at. Well, when they're. Oh, I'm sorry. Stop the shade. No, we're stopping the shade. Hashtag stop the shade. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we're already, just a few minutes in, and you've already hated on another group of people.
I love farmers. I respect them. Some of my best friends are farmers, man. Don't do that.
See, folks, if you have to say that you love them, it means you really don't. So we know what's going on here. So that, that sighting led to, Partridge's dog disappears. So now Mothman has been claimed with, to take pets. So now he's also, guilty of pet disappearances too. So this is an entire rash of sightings. I mean,
see some of the things like that though, like it's like almost like they just like rip the Jersey Devil, like things like that, certain ones like that. It's like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Now, in this, it's almost a 13-month period. There are so many sightings that literally sitting here listing them all, it wouldn't be great content, folks. You can look up the logistics of it, but it's all basically the same kind of thing. Oh, I see this big giant flying bird, or oh, I see these red eyes. Very few people actually say that they saw an unearthly creature and were able to describe it. So as this craziness is going on, folks are already looking for an explanation. What is it, right? So Dr. Robert Smith, who's an associate professor of wildlife biology at West Virginia University, dismissed the notion that a flying monster was staking out the town. Instead, he attributed the sightings to a sandhill crane. Now, if you've listened to anything about any unknown creatures, the sandhill crane gets blamed for 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all like cryptozoology. It's narrowed down to there's a mermaid and then there's this fucking crane.
Right.
And that's the rest of them.
The sandhill crane is to UFOs what swamp gas is, right? It's
yeah.
So, but he thought it was credible because it stands almost as tall as an average man's height. I mean, they can stand up to almost 6 feet tall when they're stood up, and they have
like a 10-foot wingspan.
Yeah, they're huge, and there is a redness to the flesh around their eyes. So he was like, "This has to be what it is," because this explanation was compelling. Especially given the number of early reports that had described the creature as bird-like. So
yeah.
Some people hypothesize that this crane was deformed, especially if it had resided in the TNT area, a name that locals gave to a series of nearby bunkers that were once used for manufacturing munitions during World War II. It's been suggested that these bunkers have leaked toxic materials into the neighboring wildlife preserve, possibly affecting nearby animals. So
you got Ninja Turtle cranes out there that are just,
Yeah, that's one of the big... That's one of the big explanations that I if you do just a little bit of research on Mothman, you'll see, TNT area. And, if you go with Mothman is this material thing, it's not a, alien. It's not a
specter.
It's not a specter. It's not a, the product of a curse. It's not a thunderbird or whatever. Yeah. They'll go to a mutated animal and they think that it was, because this wildlife reservation, has so many animals in there, and then you have all this alleged toxic materials leaking into the water that eventually you're going to get a Mothman, apparently.
Makes sense to me.
And I would also urge you folks to check this out. Take a look at these bunkers. They also call them igloos. They're these giant concrete igloos that used to store all these munitions, and now they're just completely abandoned out in the middle of this swampy preserve, which you can go and visit, but it's out in the middle of nowhere, and it is creepy. There have been plenty of YouTubers that have gone out there and recorded and done little things there, and it's like, would a mutant monster live here? Absolutely.
Yeah. This is where it would be.
This is where he would be. If Mothman had a lair, yeah.
If I was a mutated falcon or pelican or any kind of mutated bird creature that developed, the ability to speak and communicate, or just, to basically have intelligent thought and also attach myself to tragedies, I would reside in one of these igloos. They're ripe for it.
What kind of bird would you pick, though, if you were going to be a mutated bird?
I'd be a mutated raven.
Okay. Kind of small, but would you get bigger with the mutations?
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole point. There would be maybe another, I would land on some kind of animal. The mutation would combine me with it. So I'd be like a bird, like a crow pig.
Okay. All right. This is a hot take, folks. This is probably what really happened. So I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah. Write this down, gang.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Crow pig threw you off course there?
It kind of did. And then, of course, we come to another theory that, the creation of the Mothman was the work of one very committed prankster, which I don't know. I mean, did he go so far as to hide in abandoned World War II munitions plants? I don't think so.
Destroying a bridge,
well, yeah.
Going back in time and, staging
Yeah, because they're suggesting that, after the national press ran with the Mothman story, people who lived in Point Pleasant began to panic, right? So locals became convinced they were seeing the Mothman every time they saw a bird or a large animal or whatever.
A crow pig.
A crow pig, right. Also, another interesting thing that I came across, the Mothman legend bears some resemblance to the demon archetype found among those who have experienced sleep paralysis. So, which may suggest that the visitors are nothing more than the embodiment of typical human fears. Like pulled from the depths of the unconscious and grafted onto real life animal sightings when people panic.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you never know. I mean, it could be all these things put together, right? You have some people saw a few things. Everyone starts to panic. Some people just want to be included. So say, I saw it too. And he waved at me. And I saw the crow pig. And then, and then there's people who are legit in the town having, sleep paralysis. And then their experience is colored by hearing and seeing these things that are going on, and there you go.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I know that. See, that's the tough thing too. Like they love to go to the mass hysteria. Dogs and cats living together. No, but
exactly.
They love that whole no, it's all of them. They're panicking. It's a group hallucination. Actually, basically forced by the citizens themselves that just all were like, no, I saw too. Because we've all literally had things like that where local legend happens, but it starts spreading like wildfire and people start kind of, most times fabricating. We're also seeing something and then going, that's what it was because you put that on my head, in my brain.
Right. Inception. So the last kind of explanation that I want to bring up, I'll go into more next episode because it needs a whole episode. Paranormal explanations when it comes to the end. Okay, I mean, bringing together aliens, UFOs, precognition, ultra terrestrials, and our man Indrid Cold. That theory kind of paints the Mothman as either a harbinger of doom, or just that legend that was brought forth by the whole Cornstalk legend. So, I mean, if you tie it together with the Silver Bridge collapse, definitely a harbinger of doom. I mean, a lot of people do think that the Mothman appeared to let them know that something was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even fast forward a little bit. There's people who, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say, before Chernobyl exploded, there were sightings of a large black bird. Yeah.
See, that's my favorite though. Like that's the one I like to latch on to, this mythical cryptid that is lurking for, and the mystery of like, okay, is it here to like collect souls? Is it here as like just an omen? Like that mystery I love.
Yeah, the fact that, you try to get your head around it and you say, all right, let's suspend disbelief. Let's say it is some kind of my new favorite term, ultra terrestrial, which is just a creature that can pass through dimensions and can live in different dimensions.
Yeah, like Crow Pig.
I'm going to say no, because we said Crow Pig would be the animal explanation.
Yeah.
So you can't get both.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Crow Pig, you have to stay on this dimension.
All right, I'll stay as Crow Pig.
Okay.
I'll stay as Crow Pig.
Right.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. But, just keep your shit straight.
Yeah. Hey, duly noted.
Yeah. Peter James, what do you think?
I'm coming through.
All right, we're okay. Yeah, we're okay.
So that brings us to, the most famous event tied to the whole Mothman legend, and that is the Silver Bridge collapse. So on December 15th, 1967, just over a year after the first Mothman sighting, traffic was bad on the Silver Bridge. Originally built in 1928 to connect Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio, the bridge was packed with cars. Like it shouldn't have been. It was stopped at traffic. It was loaded with cars. So this placed a huge strain on the bridge, which had been built in a time when cars were actually lighter. So it was built thinking that, it can handle these cars. But, I actually found the metrics on it. The Model T only weighed 1,500 pounds compared to a 1967 car, which weighed an average of 4,000 pounds per car. So
not good, gang.
No, not good. And the bridge's engineers also weren't, very imaginative because, or even cautious because there was no redundancy for failure. So that if one part failed, that almost nothing could be done it was like a domino effect. So one thing breaks,
they all break.
And that's exactly what happened. Without warning, a single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side cracked. The chain snapped and the bridge, its careful equilibrium disturbed, fell to pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the icy water of the Ohio River below. 46 people died, either by drowning or being crushed by the wreckage. So,
cut the scene with the presents floating.
Even though it's wrong time period and the wrong amount of people they say died, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at the tragedy, folks.
Yeah, well, the movie.
Anyway, we're laughing at Richard Gere because he did weird things.
By weird things, you mean Deborah Messing?
Come back for episode 4 on the Mothman series where we talk about that movie.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to hear about that movie before we record, let us know.
Yeah. And we won't talk about it.
Yeah. Hey guys, so about Mothman prophecies, how about not?
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't even rewind it while returning it to Blockbuster.
Oh God. And that's the kind
of
reviews.
The worst you can do.
That's the reviews we left back in the day. I didn't even fucking rewind it.
Yeah.
Please be kind, be fucked.
Yeah. Be fucked, you fuck. Rewind my ass, you shitbird.
So, following the Mothman sightings, the bridge collapse was the second terrible and bizarre thing to put Point Pleasant on the map in a year's time. So, it didn't take long for some people to connect the two, right? So, in 1975, our man, author John Keel, made the connection between the Mothman sightings and the bridge disaster with his book, The Mothman Prophecies. He also incorporated UFO activity. And his story took hold, and the town soon became iconic among conspiracy theorists, ufologists, and fans of the paranormal.
Like us.
So that's a story in itself, and that's going to be the topic of an entire third episode, because John Keel coming to the town is kind of like. He took all these ingredients. He was almost like this paranormal chef, right? He comes in, he's got all these ingredients. He comes in, puts it in a pot, stirs that shit up, and then gives us the Mothman prophecies.
Yeah, he's like, here's a plate of fucking gold.
Yeah, here, take that.
Yeah,
dig in. And like, we want more. He's like, oh, you want more dessert? He was like, injured cold. And people are like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the drinks at the end, he's like, MIBs, man. You're just like, glug, 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 glug.
Men in Black, what are those? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stay for 2 more hours drinking, and we'll
seriously.
talk about it.
Yeah, it's, and that's why I want to give it its own episode, because high strangeness, folks. High strangeness.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a huge story. Like I said, it was 13 months of activity. Now, I already said earlier, you have folks seeing a monster, folks seeing a big bird, folks saying that they were attacked by the Mothman. I don't know if you ever heard, did you hear that story about the woman who, she was holding her infant?
Yeah, and the Mothman came to get him.
Right. And she fell and landed on the kid. Kid was fine, but she gets up and runs inside, and she said that she goes inside. She's like, trying to call the police or whatever. And she said that she could see its shadow out there, like stalking, like between the windows. She said it was huge. And she could hear it like stepping like on the floorboards. Like,
Then why wasn't that in the fucking movie? Like, give me that in the fucking movie.
There's a modified version of that in the movie, but I think that takes away too much, because the movie was supposed to be more about like the whole precognition kind of thing.
You get like those two glimpses at points, and like, we'll talk about that in episode 4. And if I wish they could see my hand motion when I'm doing this right now.
He's waving off episode 4. It's right now. He's fighting off episode 4.
I'm beating it into the future right now.
He's fighting off episode 4 like fucking people fighting off Christmas decorations in fucking October. He's like, no, you have your own fucking month.
Yeah. And you have November too, asshole. Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, I digress.
Yes. So there you have it, folks. That's the Mothman in a nutshell. I think I was about to say before, I don't even know what the hell we were just talking about.
Yeah, we were just having fun.
We were just having fun. This is a huge series of sightings. They vary greatly between some are more, some are more cohesive with others. Some are just wild nonsense. Some are just UFO sightings. Some are, some are creature sightings. And like I said, that one terrifying encounter with the woman and her baby, it's like, oh my God. Like, was there meth around back then?
No. Yeah, right. Something like it. There was something like it, if it wasn't, that good, but let's say,
loose this episode, folks.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But let's say that, like, all right. So we have, let's say you got the first couple, let's say, credible ones, like especially the one that was, they took to the police. They apparently went back too, didn't they? They went back to like confirm.
Oh yeah, no. They came and looked, and she said, "Oh, it was here. It was about this tall. That this happened." And her interesting thing about her story was that the Mothman didn't, like, he had wings, but like he didn't take off like a bird. He just put his arms out and just like floated up into the air.
Don't like that. Not a fan of that.
No, but like, man, imagine being in that town during that time.
Well, the cops apparently went back to the factory where they first saw it. Mm-hmm. And like they heard all kinds of weird fucking noises, and then they were getting radio. Their radios were having all kinds of interference. Well, and that itself lends itself to monster, ultra terrestrial, aliens, UFOs. Like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, the TNT area seemed to be like the area where a focus of a lot of the activity was. Yeah, lots of sightings. I think there was that one major sighting where there's a lot of abandoned buildings in there, and there was these two guys that encountered, something up on the roof, and they, they decided to go try to get a better look, and they get closer up in there, and they can kind of see the outline of it. It's almost like this giant bird, and they can see it has, eyes or whatever, and they get close, and then like it was dark, but they couldn't see exactly what was going on, but they heard the sound of big wings, like, like away, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, there's no way to explain any of that, because you weren't there, but you could try to say like, oh, he could have come upon like a turkey vulture that was roosting. They're enormous, and if you get up close to them, they don't like it. They make hissing noises and everything, and when they fly, you hear their feathers, which is, if you've never been close to one, it's a little unsettling. You could say that, but at the same time, we weren't there, and then all these things happening at once. And then like, Crow Pig shows up, and then
well, I was going to say, these are a particular people that live in this town, so they know,
Okay, so now we're throwing shade on who? Now who are we talking about?
The people of Point Pleasant. No, we're not throwing shade at them. I'm not.
Did you say we? What do you mean we?
I'm giving them credit for knowing their stuff. Turkey vulture, crow pig, ultra dimensional beings.
You said crow pig.
Hey, they don't. We weren't there.
We were not at that. Crow. We can agree that we were not there.
We were not there, right. And we don't know if it was crow pig or not. So
I don't know, man.
That I don't know for everyone out there. That was like, I don't know if I want to do the show with you anymore, Ken. That's what that was.
Yeah, you said that, not me.
Yeah.
I'll neither confirm nor deny.
Jay's like, this guy's going to keep talking about this shit.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
And then kind of going back to the other, that first sighting, which I thought was interesting. A brown human being. Okay, they're digging graves, right? Mm-hmm. And then this brown human being flies into the air, into the trees, and then just like flies off. What is that? And you're already in a graveyard. Do you think they were like spooking each other out? Like, oh man, I hope that body doesn't move. And then they look up and there's like, do you think they all just just flipped out?
As it went up, Duke just probably went the opposite direction out of them.
They were probably all brown human beings after that. They probably shit themselves.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, do we know what kind of burial ground it was? Was it?
Well, apparently this was just a local cemetery. I don't have any information on whether or not it was anything.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, maybe they disturbed something that they didn't know was there. Because that was big Native American.
Well, I have heard it suggested that okay, they were digging this grave, but were they also? Was there something to the effect of they could have been digging there and cemeteries, if they're not being watched, they could be moving stuff. Could they, like you said, could they have disturbed something? Or, someone had also suggested that maybe they disturbed, could have been, Native American. I'm just speculating. They could have disturbed some kind of Native American burial, and whatever the Mothman was came out of the ground. And that was it being almost like birthed.
Oh, dude, imagine that shit. I wish I could be there to see it. As terrifying as that was, imagine seeing that.
Back there, you don't have a phone or anything or a camera, so you just do sketches of it or something.
Yeah. You go home, you're there's a whole fucking table of pictures. You're trying to
look what I saw, and then they see your pictures. It's just scribbled crayon. They're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you're like,
fucking madman.
No, I saw it. I was digging graves. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, and then they look at you, and you're the kid from The Ring, just scribbling in a circle. What the fuck? What is that? This is what I saw. It's all right, he's done.
You're going to military school, man. That's what that is at that point. Get out of here.
Nope. Right to the psych ward.
Yeah. And then in 80 years when it's closed, we'll break into it.
Right. I mean, this could be the beginning of a story we could, come up with. Yeah. The crazy guy who, did crayon drawings when he saw the Mothman, and then.
Well, going back to that'll be our ghost boy, little ghost boy, who's
right.
We got to make him our mascot.
Peter James might be upset though. What do you think, buddy?
I'm coming through.
He seems all right with it.
Yeah, I think he's cool. Right. I think we're all right with Peter.
I think so. God, speaking of Peter James, I mean, 90s paranormal shows. I'm going to go off topic here, folks.
Oh, do it. Go.
90s paranormal shows. What?
Of course this is topic. They were talking about Mothman and 90s paranormal shows.
90s paranormal shows were just pure gold. Just like 90s hip hop and R&B. That was just the gold standard for those two things. Right?
Yeah, man. Because the thing was the slow burn you'd get from the paranormal show. Now you got to get there has to be I need green background, black and white. I need all this shit.
Well, what's so good about those 90s shows was they were putting together little movies. There wasn't that this was before reality TV, right? So they were putting together little productions. They had little, we're going to do dramatizations. We're going to get some bad motherfucker to introduce the whole thing. Robert Stack or Tim White.
Yeah, and then they the way they would play things out, or reenactors, that was always my favorite thing. I would the or reenactors, and the way they would shoot it, it was it was so cheesy, but in the same breath,
cheesy. But you were watching it as a kid, and you were like, "What the?"
Yeah, and you look over at who's watching it with you, and you're like, "Are you fucking seeing this
Yeah. Are you seeing this? I hope they don't show a picture of a gray alien because I will shit. And then they would show it in the next 30 seconds. Like,
yeah. You're like, hey, you want to play Super Nintendo in my room tonight?
Or like,
all night long?
And then, Unsolved Mysteries, they had their way of doing it and it was fantastic. And then you had like, Sightings had to be a little bit more punk rock about it. They had to come in with the spooky music and the shit right away. It was like, you hear like, like tonight on Sightings, like, aliens in your neighborhood, what to do to stop them. It's like, what the fuck? I'm like 9 years old. Like, stop it.
I swear to God. All right. It was like a rerun on Sci-Fi. It was like staying home sick from school. And it was like, I was in like 6th grade. So it was like 12. So it was like years after it was in production. And it was a Bigfoot episode that I never saw before. And I was like, well, how have I never seen this? And they actually, one of the guys showed, he's like, this is a Bigfoot nest. And, of course, the way they put it together, and the professional guy they'd bring in, I'm like, yo, I'm like 12 now. I'm not supposed to be affected. I'm
a man now.
Yeah, I'm a man now. And then they played audio of like a Bigfoot call. And this guy's like, no, this is, and it was like this, like, I can't do it. Yes. I wish I fucking could because I would win every fight that ever happened. Like this was, it was the most terrifying. My like spine went back. I'm like, my mom's at work, everyone's at school,
and Bigfoot was in your house. You knew he was there.
Bigfoot was there.
If folks, you want a great clip of Bigfoot, alleged Bigfoot sounds, look up the Sierra sounds. You're welcome. Make sure you do that right before you go to bed.
Yeah. It'll help you sleep.
And then, when you turn over and be like, I wonder if Bigfoot's at my window right now. And then you open it and he's there.
Nightmare. No, that's like my heart would pop out directly out of my chest. Like that's what, if that happened.
I think I've mentioned it here 1,000 times and you're probably, people are probably tired of hearing it. I was convinced that Bigfoot and aliens were competing over which ones were going to get me first.
Oh man, and I said it too. An old lady at my old lady.
No,
I always thought an old lady ghost was coming for me.
Nope, ghosts, no problem. Bigfoot and gray aliens, they were in competition. Like I can't wait to fuck this motherfucker up like this.
Yeah, they're like doing rock paper scissors out front of your house to see who gets to do it.
Yep. Nope.
And then Mothman's in a tree ready to fuck them all up. He's just like,
well. Mothman would have liked to have been there, but I grew up in the fucking Pine Barrens, so it was the goddamn Jersey Devil out there.
Yeah, that was Jersey Devil's territory.
All right, and this is a funny story, and then we'll probably have to wrap it up. It's a funny story. Yeah. So I'm like, same age, like I've read paranormal books all the time. I'm convinced. I'm like thick in it, right? And I had just read this Jersey Devil book where they were like, oh, the Jersey Devil was notorious for landing on the roof of people's houses and stomping on their roofs. And then, people would come out and, shine lights or fucking fire muskets or whatever the fuck they had back then, and then try to get them off the roof. So, didn't bother me, right? So I go to bed, and I'm laying there, and I hear, goong, like this loud noise. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I hear, goong. I'm like, what? I'm laying there, and I'm like, it's not the Jersey Devil. It's a noise. I'm laying there. I hear it a few more times. I'm freaking the fuck out. I go out to him. I'm like, Mom, there's something on the roof. She's like, what? She's like, there's something on the roof. She's like, what, you heard something? Yeah.
Please.
So my mom goes, she goes to my dad. She's like, Tom. He comes inside. He was outside in the garage lifting weights, and I was hearing him hit the weights onto the concrete floor because he was doing reps, and he had the big barbell. So he was doing squats or whatever. It was like, ding, the sound that you do.
He was doing deadlifts.
He was doing deadlifts. That's right, deadlifts.
Bang,
Couldn't think of the word, but that's where I was at.
Yeah,
I'm reading stories about Jersey Devil. My dad's out there lifting weights, which he did every day. Turns into that fucking thing's on the roof. We need to do something.
You're done.
Right,
yeah, it's over.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Bigfoot and gray aliens are sitting in the fucking woods laughing at me.
Yeah. They're like, oh man, he's doing fucking 650. That's pretty impressive in the garage.
My dad was a beast.
Yeah. All right, Jay. So what do we got as far as closing statements this evening?
My closing statements can only be basically what my opening statements were. How about that ass on that Mothman statue? Seriously, folks, go look that up.
Check it out. They do a pretty good close-up on it on Unsolved, or BuzzFeed Unsolved, their Mothman episode. They do a great close-up on it.
I mean, you literally could bounce a quarter off of his ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry,
you
I
could
don't
crack
have
all
a
kinds
thing
of
for
shit on
Mothman ass. I'm just...
No. Well, it's a statue. So
Yeah,
it's not really the Mothman.
it's fine.
But for my...
This episode got weird tonight, folks. I'm sorry.
No, they were due. They were due. You know, since the Halloween episode, we didn't get too weird. But my closing statement would just be: the cryptids or the legends of these kind of creatures that different places have. Like Jersey has Jersey Devil. You got the Goat Man. You know, you got the Wolf Man of Briar Road. You got all these different kinds of places that have their own legends.
Dogman.
Dogman. Thank you for the correction, sir. But what makes the Mothman stand out so much is like all the history surrounding it, the things that could have led up to it, the things that it could have brought into existence, the stories, the people talking about it, and the things that we're going to talk in the next couple episodes about. It just makes it that much more compelling and more interesting, and a topic that you keep wanting digging into.
It's an onion, right? It's a many layered, story legend. You know, you can come at it from so many different angles that it's just.
You'll always find something kind of new.
You'll find something new, and people will be talking about this forever.
Yeah, ain't going away. No, Mothman ain't going nowhere.
Nope. Thank God, huh?
Yeah, thank you. For guys like you and me, thank God, man. But all right, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Episode 2 of Mothman Month. So, Jay, next week, what do we got going on?
Next episode, Ken, is The High Strangeness of Indrid Cold.
Can't fucking wait. All right, guys. So, for Other Dangerous Podcast, I'm Ken James.
I'm Jason McKittrick.
And as always, have a spooky evening. Thank you for listening to Other Dangers Podcasts. Have you had a run-in with the Other Dangers? You can reach us at otherdangerouspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to have a short discussion about the Other Dangers, you can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Other Dangers Podcast. We are now streaming on iTunes Podcasts, Amazon, Google, and many other streaming services. We are also available on YouTube. And please, after listening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you the Other Dangers.